Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. We're not going to overtalk it. We're not going to overdo it. We are here to get into Megan Thee Stallion's deposition in the matter of Emilio Garcia versus Megan Thee Stallion. Let's get into it.
I say, Document Tingz, bringing truth to the light. Paper trail strong, yeah, we reading it right. From the docket to the drop, every case, every scene. I'm your courtroom reporter with the facts in between. Yeah. Document Tingz, bringing truth to the light. Paper trail strong, yeah, we reading it right. From the docket to the drop, every case, every scene. I'm your courtroom reporter with the facts in between. Yeah.
All right, y'all already know about my copyright disclaimer. It's always scrolling at the bottom of my screen. It's always on my page. It's everywhere. Y'all also already know about my QR code that will take you directly to my X page where you can get into a plethora of court cases. So let's get started. We are here to get into the latest filing pertaining Emilio Garcia versus Megan Thee Stallion. Now, I just want to be very clear. Disclaimer: this is how it was given to us on the docket. This is excerpts. This is not the entire full deposition. So if you see some pages missing, that is why. Okay. All right. So let's get started. A stands for answer. Q stands for question. All right. Let's get started. Is that fair? Yes, which is answer. Q, which is question. Okay. I know you said it off the record, but can you tell us your full name, including middle names? Answer: Megan Jovan Ruth Pete. Question: thank you. And have you been known as any other name other than your professional name, which I know is Megan Thee Stallion, but other legal names other than the one you just told us? Answer: besides Megan Thee Stallion, no. Question: okay, and with regards to where are you physically, geographically right now? Answer: Los Angeles, California. Question: okay, great. And you're being video recorded. And just so that I know what you're looking at, the computer is me on the screen, correct? Answer: yes, yes. Question: all right. And then got it. Answer: I'm trying my best to go back and forth. Question: I think if you look at the computer screen without jumping back and forth, whoever is watching the video will understand what's going. Question: and who was helping you to the extent, strike that? Who was helping you run 1501 and 300 when those first were created? Miss Manillo. Objection. Answer: I don't. Miss Manillo. Hold on. Objection to the form. Lacks foundation. Assumes facts. You can answer. Answer: I don't run 1501 or 300. Question: do you know who did initially? Answer: Carl Crawford runs 1501. That's his label. And Kevin Lyles at the time ran 300. Answer: who is Sam? Excuse me. Who is Travis Ferris? Answer: Ferris is one of my managers. Question: and my understanding is you connected with Mr. Ferris in Texas around 2015, 2016. Is that correct? Answer: yes. Question: and he's been a or one of your managers since that time frame, correct? Answer: maybe 2016, 2017, but yes. Question: and then who is Sam Riddle? Answer: Sam Riddle is one of my old managers from Rock Nation. Question: okay. And then when did Sam Riddle stop being a manager for you? Miss Manillo. Objection to the form. You can answer. Answer: I'm not really sure when he stopped working at Rock Nation. Question: okay. And then there's been some text messages produced on your behalf, Miss Pete, and there was a name I believe saved on your phone as Jess Rock Nation. Answer: yes. Question: does that sound familiar? Who is that? Answer: she was also a part of my management team at the time as Sam on Rock Nation. Question: and it's just still part of your management team today? Answer: no. Question: do you have a memory when she stopped being part of your management team? Answer: they kind of stopped around the same time. Question. And then going through the timeline of Emilio between the time he first started working with you and let's say the end of 2019. Well, actually, let's make it a little better bookend. Between when you first started working with him and him working with you, rather, and the pandemic, which is in March 2020, was Mr. Garcia providing through that time, providing services of taking pictures of you and taking video? Miss Manillo, object to the form, vague, calls for a legal conclusion potentially. You can answer the question. Answer. 2020 was really a blur. And because of quarantining and everything, I didn't see him as much as I normally would. So maybe he did come take pictures at some point for something. Question. I probably messed up the question, Miss Pete, and I apologize. Before the shutdown, which I believe was in March 2020 for some, well, most people, going backwards to the time he first started providing, taking pictures of you and video of you, between those 2 points, he was providing the service of photographer and videographer, correct? Answer, yes. Question, okay. My question now is, I know he would show up to performances of yours based on, did you have people around that were in charge of doing your makeup, for instance? Miss Manillo, objection to the form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, during that time? Question, before the pandemic. Answer, before the pandemic? For the most part, I did my own makeup, and sometimes I might have had an assistant. Question, do you know who Akil McCoy is? Answer, yes. Question, and do you have a memory of Mr. McCoy providing, well, who was he? What did he do for you? Miss Manillo, objection to the object to the form. You can answer. Answer. Akil was a makeup artist. Question. And do you have a memory of Mr. McCoy being around providing, being a makeup artist for you prior to the pandemic? Answer. Yes. Question. And I understand there's a young lady, maybe not young, a lady named uh, Alejandra Garcia, who's known as Alex. Is that, do you know who that is? Answer. I know who Alex is. Question. And what was Alex's role, if any, as part of providing you services working for you? Miss Manillo. Objection to form, vague and ambiguous. To the extent it calls for legal conclusion. You can answer. Answer. Alex was a makeup artist. Question. At any one point, did you have more than one makeup artist doing makeup for you? Question. Say it again. Well, that's answer. I'm sorry. Question. Yeah, that was a dumb question. Let me ask it another way. Do you have at any point you only had one makeup artist doing makeup for you, or did you have two people at one time working on you? Miss Manillo. Objection to form. You can answer. Answer. Two people working on me at once, or two people just, I don't understand. Question. Yeah. So just generally, let me back up. Generally, you have when Mr. McCoy was, question, and you are correct. And what I'm talking about is before the pandemic. Are we on the same page? Answer. Correct. Q, which is question. Okay, great. The pandemic starts. Y'all give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Question. Okay, great. The pandemic starts, and I'm assuming there aren't any, well, many shows you're doing, correct? In mid 2022, excuse me, in the summer of 2020 after the shutdown. I'm assuming you did not do many shows, correct? Miss Manillo, object to the form. You can answer. Answer. No, I did not do many shows. Question. Okay. Did you do any shows where Mr. Garcia also appeared after the shutdown? That's a terrible question. Let me start again. After the shutdown in the year 2020, still that year, did you ask Mr. Garcia to come or record you or take pictures of you? Miss Manillo, object to the form. You can answer. Answer. I don't really remember. Question, which is understandable because that was a weird time. Are you, from your understanding, are you and Mr. Garcia from the same town? Miss Manillo, Object to the form. You can answer. Answer. I'm not really sure if he's from Houston, but that's where I met him. Question. Did you ever invite him to your home in Houston during the pandemic? Answer. No. Question. After the pandemic, when was the first time, like after the shutdown? How many months or maybe a year do you remember asking Mr. Garcia to provide his photography and videographer services for you? Miss Manillo. Object to the form, vague and ambiguous. You can answer the question. Answer. I don't understand the question. Question. Sure. There is a point in time after the pandemic started that Mr. Garcia took pictures of you, correct? Again, Miss Manillo. Object to the form, vague. You can answer. I mean, Ron, the problem I think we're having here is you're asking about after the pandemic, but you're not identifying a time, like a time for the pandemic. Mr. Sembrano. That's fair. That's fair. Thank you. Question. After the shutdown in March of 2020 because of the coronavirus, at some point after March 2020, you and Mr. Garcia provide photography and photography services again, correct? Miss Manillo. Object to the form, vague and ambiguous. You can answer the question. Answer. Honestly, right now, I don't remember too much about Emilio in 2020. Question. Okay. When was the next time you do remember about Emilio after the shutdown initially started in March of 2020? Miss Manillo. Object to the form, vague and ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. Maybe when it was okay to start going out and performing again. Question. And do you have a memory or generally when that was? Month? Year? Answer. No. Question. I'm going to put maybe looking at question. Do you have a memory of when you started performing again after the initial shutdown in March of 2020? Miss Manillo. Object to the form. Asked and answered. You can answer. Answer. In 2020, I was shot. So I wasn't performing for a while. I'm not sure exactly when the date was that I started performing again, but I feel like I can't give you a date, but I could probably remember what the performance was. Question. Can you tell me what the performance was? Answer. I believe to my memory that it was a performance for title. Question. Okay. Did you perform with any other artists or was it just a solo performance by you at that time? Answer. It was just me. Question. Do you know who? Anyone who refers to themselves as Queenie? Answer. Yes. Question. And who is Queenie? Answer. Queenie is an old friend. Question. When did you first meet? When did you and Queenie first become friends? Correct? Miss Manillo. Object to the form. You can answer. Answer. Can you ask me again? Question. Sure. At one point, someone else other than Mr. Garcia started taking behind the scene photos of you and video of you, correct? Someone else was doing that? Miss Manillo. Sorry, objection, form, calls for legal conclusion, vague and ambiguous. You can answer. Always assume facts. Answer. Emilio never was the only person taking pictures and videos of me. Question. Okay, fair enough. What? Do you know of a photographer or videographer named Beth? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you know when Beth started? Strike that. Did Beth take pictures and video of you? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you know when that started? Answer. No. Question. Was Beth coming around to provide these? Ambiguous. You can answer. And I feel like this is a whole new question. So now you want to know the names of the other photographers? Question. Yeah. I'm trying to maybe go about what I'm trying to learn. So I know that you went to professional photographers for purposes of, actually, I don't know, but I'm making an assumption. You're a very popular artist. And through just my existence in America, I know there's pictures of you on covers of magazines and all of that stuff. I assume there were professional photographers that were not Mr. Garcia for some purposes, correct? Answer, correct? Oh, sorry. Miss Manillo, that's okay. Objection, form. You can answer as you did. Question. In my understanding, generally, Mr. Garcia was there to photograph you or record you on video of more behind the scenes stuff on a. Is that your understanding of what he was doing? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. There really wasn't just one thing he was doing. He took pictures, he took videos, but there was never like a definite like purpose of what the images or videos were going to be used for. Question. Well, based on the text messages, some of that was to post on your social media. Correct? Answer. Correct. Question. And some of it was for purposes of just promoting you. Well, strike that. So, for the people recording you and taking photos of you for your social media, which I know Emilio did, Mr. Garcia did Beth also do that for you? Miss Manillo. Object to the form. You can answer. Answer. I'm trying to figure out what you're asking me about that. Question. I want to know if Beth was also creating content for you to put on social media of just taking videos and or pictures of you. Answer. Yes. Beth was taking pictures of me. Question. And was she taking pictures of you in a Miss Manillo? Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And when Beth was working for you, did she also do the same type of editing work that Mr. Garcia was doing? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. Beth only took my pictures. So she didn't have to do editing to videos how Emilio did. Question. Okay. So I know Emilio took pictures, he took video, and he did editing. We know that. Okay. So my follow-up question is between the time of Emilio starting up until the time that was taking video of you, taking pictures of you, and also editing for you like Mr. Garcia was, Miss Manillo. Object to the form, vague, ambiguous, compound. You can answer. Answer. Yes. Question. Who was that? Answer. There was a photographer, videographer around the time I first started. His name was Leon, and he worked for 1501. And then at another point in time, I worked with another photographer and videographer named Joe. I worked with another videographer and photographer named Joe. Question. Did Joe work for 1501 or another one of the labels? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. No. Question. Did you have a memory? Well, does Joe still come around and provide these services? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. No. Question. Do you have a memory of when the last time Joe provided these services for you? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. No. Question. Was it before the pandemic started in March of 2020? Miss Manillo. Objection. Asked and answered. Form. You can answer. Answer. I believe so. Question. And Leon, can you give me a time range of when he provided these services for you that was similar to Mr. Garcia's? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. From what I could remember, they were around at the same time at the beginning of my career. Answer. And then when was the last time, when Leon stopped providing services for you? Strike that. That's a terrible question. What is your memory of the last time Leon came around to provide services Mr. Garcia had provided? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. I couldn't give you a real time frame, but maybe between 20, maybe Leon didn't record for me anymore because I started being on the road a lot more and I didn't have a relationship with 1501 anymore around early 2019, early 2020. Question. So between you starting and Mr. Garcia being around through the time Beth started, Leon worked for a little bit. Joe worked. I won't say you've named, I'll take out the qualifier. Between the time Mr. Garcia started and when Beth started coming around, another photographer was Leon, and an additional one was Joe. Any other photographers between those two periods of time in providing similar services as Mr. Garcia? Miss Manillo. Objection, form, vague, compound. You can answer. Answer. Between those two periods of time, there were probably like miscellaneous guys that will be wherever I was performing that people from my label knew that, they wanted to take pictures of me. Question. And for those particular photographers that the label brought on, do you have a memory of Mr. Garcia also being around taking pictures of you and video of you? Miss Manillo. Objection, form, vague, ambiguous as to the term around. You can answer the question. Answer. I don't really remember, but I don't remember a lot of them intertwining, like being at the same place at the same time. They could have been, but I don't remember. Question. Do you know or do you remember Leon's last name? Answer. No. Question. Do you remember Joe's last name? Answer. No. Question. Do you know where Leon was based out of? Answer. Houston. Question. What about Joe? Answer. I'm not sure where Joe was based out of. Question. When do you have a memory of when Beth was providing these, taking pictures of you and video of you, that Beth was also present with Emilio and they were both providing the photography and videography services at the same time? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Not bound in time. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. I don't really remember. Question. Okay. So I have an idea from your memory sitting here today of the photographers that were around between you starting and not you starting, Mr. Emilio Garcia being around and Beth first starting. It was Leon and Joe and some other ones that the label would have around. Now I'm going to go to another time period, okay? Starting now with the time Beth started showing up to provide you the photography services through the last time that Mr. Garcia provided you with his services. Did you have any other photographer or videographer other than Beth and Mr. Garcia providing those services? Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Compound. Assume facts. You can answer the question. Answer. I don't want to understand what you're asking me. So could you say it again? Question. I will attempt to make it a cleaner question, Miss P. And thank you for telling me. What other photographers, other than Beth and Mr. Garcia, provided that service to you after the time Beth started providing that service to you? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. Strictly photography? Question. Photography, videography, and editing like Mr. Garcia was doing. Who else was doing that kind of stuff? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. There's another photographer that I work with named Darren, and there's a videographer I work with named James. Question. Is that currently you're working with? Answer. I still work with them now, yes. Question. Okay. And I have a memory of looking at a lot of documents, and I know that there was a person named Daring that you are friends with. Is that correct? There's a Daring that you're friends with since 2016, around the same time you knew Queenie. Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I was also friends with a woman named Darren in 2014, same time as Queenie. Question. Got it. But Darren photographer is not the Darren friend with Queenie, correct? There are two different Darrens. Answer. Two different Darrens. One's a man, one's a woman. Question. The photographer is a man? Answer. I remember that sometimes he would take a really long time to send pictures back. Yes. Question. Okay. And did you ever, in those instances that you have a memory where he took a really long time, do you have a memory of talking to him, telling him, like, hey, please get these to me a little quicker? Don't take too long. Do you have a memory of him doing that? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, and ambiguous. To the extent it calls for legal conclusion, you can answer. Answer. I don't remember him using those words, but there were probably times I had to remind him to send me the pictures. Question. Okay. Do you have a memory off the top of your head that, like, you got really upset with him because he took way too long and he just wasn't getting the point of getting things to you when you wanted him to? Answer. No. Miss Manillo. Object. Sorry, which is the witness. Miss Manillo. That's fine. Question. Okay. Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. I'm not sure. And as y'all can see, something was redacted there. So we're going to go to the next line. Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague and ambiguous. Something else was redacted. Question. I don't mean to challenge you. It's the way you said that, it may not be clear for the record. And as y'all can see, something else was redacted. So we're going to move on. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Something else was redacted, as y'all can see. Question. Okay. And was that when you, at least you and Mr. Garcia and Jayla were in Ibiza, Spain? I probably butchered the hell out there, but y'all see that. Miss Manillo, objection, form. You can answer. Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And was that, well, and that was inside a vehicle when that happened? Was that your memory? Question. And where, and yeah, as y'all can see, there was a time lapse. All right. So let's continue. Question. And were you guys like in school together? How did you guys, what's your, from your perspective, how did you guys come to know each other? What's the context? Miss Manillo, objection to form. You can answer. Answer. The context of me and Jayla's relationship? Question. Well, sure. Let's start with you and Jayla's relationship. Answer. I met Jayla in college. We lived in the same building. Question. Did you meet Queenie and Darren when you were in college as well? Answer. Yes. Question. Ooh, excuse me, y'all. 1 second. Ooh. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Question. Okay. Yeah, well, let me, okay, answer. Yes. All of us went to the same college. Question. Thank you. I don't have to ask that question. So you all met being students at the same college, correct? Answer. Thank you. One more time. Question. Sure. You, Queenie, Darren, and Jayla met while anybody being surprised? No. I'm remembering like giggling and like loud music. As y'all can see, there was a time lapse. It looked like, yep, time lapse. So this is answer. So answer. Anybody being surprised? No. I'm remembering like giggling and like loud music. Question. You guys had just left a club at that time, correct? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague. You can answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And then after you guys, do you have memory of where the van was taking you to when this event happened? Answer. The van was taking us back to the house we were staying in. Question. Okay. And I've heard it referred to as a villa. Is that the way you remember it too? Answer. Okay. A house, a villa, I don't really know the difference. Question. I will call it a house. I just want to use the same words you want to use. Okay. So we'll call it a house. In the house, after you return to the house, at any point before you left Ibiza, did you talk to Emilio about, and as y'all can see, that's redacted. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous, assume facts. Question. Okay. And did you have dinners where they were eaten outside? Where you were served your dinner outside of, in the outside area of the house? Miss Manillo, objection, form, you can answer. Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And at one point, I believe you were dating someone at the time that came to visit you at the house in Ibiza, correct? Miss Manillo, objection, form, you can answer. Answer. Yes. Question. And is his name or Is his name Party? Answer, yes. Question, Party? Answer, Party. Question, DI? Okay. And are you still dating Party? Answer, no. Question. And when at any time of the dinners that were outside at the house in Ibiza, do you have a memory of anyone making comments about how much Mr. Garcia was eating? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. I don't remember anybody having comments about how much he was eating, but he probably could have been talking about how much he was eating. Question, why do you say that? What makes you say that? Answer, because he likes to crack jokes about food in general. Answer, oh, that's his question. Do you have a memory of what type of jokes he was making with regards to food? Answer, yeah. He would call himself a fat B word, or like he would call all of us fat, or just joking about eating in general. Question, from your perspective, did you believe Mr. Garcia was overweight during this time frame to visit, well, this visit to Ibiza? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, I don't believe he was overweight. I just don't really believe in judging people for what they look like. But like I said, he had a lot of comments about himself. So upset. I couldn't believe that somebody that I spend so much time with is talking about me so negatively. Question. And do you have a memory of, you also use the terminology that they were complaining, right? Answer. Uh-huh. Question. Do you remember that? Answer. Well, mostly Emilio was complaining. Question. So is the complaining, is the complaining what you found offensive to you, or was he complaining about something else? Miss Manillo. Objection, form, vague, ambiguous, confusing. But you can answer if you understand. Answer. Can you ask me again? Question. Sure. I guess let's just see what you remember. What is the what is the things that he, Mr. Garcia, was complaining about that you remember on this, on Alex's phone? Miss Manillo. Object to form. You can answer. Answer. What I saw on the phone was him making fun of my appearance. And then as I continued to look, I saw him complaining that I wasn't bringing him around to shoot as often as I was before. But I wasn't bringing him around as often because I was taking like a mental break. And he was kind of insinuating to Alex that he wasn't working because of me, when that couldn't be true, because, and he was saying that he wanted to quit. But I'm like, how are you going to quit? Like, something you can't quit. Like, you don't only take pictures of me. So I didn't like that he was phrasing it like he's not getting any money, or he's not making any money because of me. He works with so many other people. And I didn't like that he was blaming the fact that he was upset. I guess his financial situation at the time, I feel like he was bringing it on me. And I don't think that was my fault. He brought up my mother. I didn't like that. A lot of things he was doing just didn't make any sense. And I felt like it was very messy. I felt like if he had an issue with me personally, which it seemed like he had, I felt like that's something he should have told me, because I had been knowing him so long, and I had been knowing him longer than we both knew Alex. So I didn't understand why my friend would be speaking so poorly about me to basically somebody that we both just met. Question. Thank you. With regards to, these are things that you read from Emilio's messages, correct? Answer. Correct. Question. And then with regards to this topic of quitting, your understanding is that he had other clients besides you? Answer. It's not my understanding. That's a fact. Question. Okay. So do you know who these other clients were around the time that you were reading these messages? Answer. He worked with other artists. He did, like, I guess, graduation pictures or like picture different models, things like that. I think he worked other events. Question: how is it? Answer: whatever his issue, it was because of. Well, let me rephrase that. Whatever his issue, it was because of you didn't want to get up and go do your job. It wasn't because I didn't give you a job. You can't quit a job that you have not, what that you, what did she say? You can't quit a job that you don't have. That's how she said it, y'all. Y'all see. Question. Okay. When you do the quotes, are you Miss Manillo? Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. She's from Florida. Question. Other than JT, the artist JT that you know of, do you know any other artists Mr. Garcia provided photography, videography services prior to this exchange that you read that you just talked about? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. I didn't really too much keep up with the other people that he shot. I just knew he worked with other artists, but I don't remember like whose name it was. Question. That's okay. From what you said, it sounds like this exchange you read between Alex and Emilio, you were upset with Emilio. You were upset with what Emilio was saying, right? He was complaining and blaming you for things. From your perspective, he shouldn't be blaming you for. Was there anything you were reading from Alex that you felt Alex was saying things that upset you in the time thread with Emilio? Miss Manillo. Objection, form, vague, ambiguous, compound, mischaracterizes prior testimony. You can answer. Answer. So I said both of them were talking mess, and I was very offended by both of them. Definitely Emilio, definitely Alex. Alex was also making fun of my appearance. And they also were talking about Beth and the other makeup artists that work over there. They were just like insulting the other people that worked on my team as well. Question: do you remember who they were insulting? Answer: Beth, the other camera woman, and then another makeup artist named Lauren. Question: do you still work with Lauren? Answer: yes. Question: I've heard I've read in certain of the text messages. Y'all give me 1 second. All right, my bad. I had gotten a phone call. All right, let's continue. I'm gonna restart over. Question: I've read in certain of the text messages that were provided on your behalf something that's referred to as a glam team. Are you familiar with that phrase? Answer: yes. Question: so who makes up the glam team at any point? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Answer: yes. Question: so Mr. Garcia would be around when the glam team was working too, correct? Sometimes? Answer: yes. Question: I'm going to skip to a topic that's kind of more of an administrative thing. Do you, from your perspective, are you self employed or are you an employee of another company? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Calls for legal conclusion. You can answer the question. Answer: in my opinion, I'm self employed. Question: and do you pay yourself through Megan Thee Stallion Entertainment Inc.? Answer: I don't understand. Question: that's fine. So, and that's a fine answer. If you're like, I don't get it, just tell me and I'll move on. Do you, or are you still, well, strike that. At the time that Mr. Garcia was providing his services for you, you were signed with Rock Nation, correct? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer: yes. Question: and with regards to Rock Nation, what role did they have, if any, in supporting you in your career when Mr. Garcia was there? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Calls for a legal conclusion. Vague. Calls for speculation. You can answer. Answer: Rock Nation took on the role of management after my mother passed away. Question. And that would have been in 2019, correct? Answer. It wasn't right after she passed away. So, like I said earlier, like I don't really remember exactly what time frame we first started working in. Question. Okay, fair enough. Do you have a memory of when you signed a contract with Rock Nation? Correct? Answer. Yes. Question. And did you travel to New York or LA to sign that contract? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I really believe I signed it in New York. Question. And after you signed with Rock Nation, was it your expectation that Rock Nation does the management that your mom was doing before? Mr. Sieve. Objection. Form. Miss Manillo. Also objection. Vague. You can answer. Answer. I don't think my mom was managing me the same way Rock Nation was. My mom didn't really have any like prior knowledge of artist management before me. We were just on our own, winging it as we went. And whereas Rock Nation obviously is professional and they have a lot of clients, so it was a different level of management. Question. Right. I totally understand. And I think I'll rephrase my question. With regards to having people like Mr. Garcia paid after you signed with Rock Nation, was it your expectation that Rock Nation now would be handling making sure people like Mr. Garcia was being paid? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. No. What I knew was Rock Nation would start to put me, well, hold on, let me make sure I say that right. No, what I knew was Rock Nation would start to put me in a position, put a team around me, and start handling bill pay and new credit cards and things like that. So I didn't. Emilio has nothing to do with Rock Nation. So I didn't think Rock Nation would be handling paying him. Question. Okay. So I know that when your mom was doing this work, that you have a memory that your mom would pay him, whether cash or whatever. So after Rock Nation, you signed with Rock Nation. What was your understanding of where or how Mr. Garcia would get paid for his services? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. So now I have a new accountant at this time, and now I'm understanding that I'm needing more than one account and all these other things that I didn't really super understand at the time, but I'm growing and I'm learning. So I knew that out of my regular account, however, whatever account I use to spend money, I'm using some of that money to pay Emilio. Question. Okay. Answer. We started getting invoices. Sorry. I started realizing that I had to look at invoices. That time it was new. Was it? Was it your expectation that you would review and approve each invoice submitted by Mr. Garcia? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And you have a memory of doing that? Answer. Sometimes. Question. Okay. Did you ever delegate the ability to prove Mr. Garcia's invoices to anyone so that it wasn't always you who had to do it? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. The way that you asking the question is kind of confusing to me. Would I? Okay. Ask me again. Question. Sure. I don't think I could ever really appreciate what you're going through, what you go through in the evolution of your career, Miss Pete. There must be a bunch of things that are happening. And I'm assuming, and under that imagination, did you, or maybe possibilities, did you ever at one point tell someone else other than you, can you handle approving Emilio's invoices? Because I'm dealing with other stuff that I really don't want to deal with the invoices ultimately. Did that ever happen? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. Ambiguous. Compound. You can answer. Answer. I have to answer the question like this. I get so many invoices from everybody. At the end of the day, I'm the person who has to prove my account is to pay any money, to pay any bill. It's only me. I'm the one who has to say yes, pay it, because everything is so overwhelming. Sometimes I will have Des double check my invoices to make sure everything's right. Did anybody double charge me? Did anybody overcharge me? Am I missing invoices? I just have Des double check that all of these invoices are correct before I give the approval to pay them. Question. And is Des short for someone's name? Answer. Desiree. Question. Desiree Perez? Answer. Desiree Perez. Yes. Question. Perez. Okay. And she's at Rock Nation. Correct? Answer. Correct? Question. Did you ever, and in that, did you, well, strike that. So I'll call her Des since you're calling her Des. Miss Manillo. You can call her Miss Perez. Question. I will call her Miss Perez. With Miss Perez, did you ask Miss Perez, like, listen, can you help me double check these invoices? I'm overwhelmed. Did you ask for her assistance? Answer. Yes. I asked for Desiree to oversee my invoices. Question. Okay. And did you ever deal with someone whose name is, and I don't want to butcher that, Mulville? Last name Mulville. Answer. I don't know who that is. Okay, that's question. Do you have a memory of Miss Perez informing you at any point that there were problems with Mr. Garcia's invoices? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague, ambiguous. You can answer. I don't really, this is answer. I don't really remember Des talking about Emilio's invoices. Question. Do you have a memory of Miss Perez saying anything to you that the way Emilio was asking to be paid was no longer going to be approved? And I said, oh, yeah. And then I guess whatever he typed up, I guess at that time, maybe the legal team decided to make a longer form, like a better version of whatever he typed up. And maybe this is how Des got involved, but I don't remember. I don't know anything about this. And he's not going to be paid unless he's present. That might have been something somebody else spoke about and I didn't know about it. And as y'all can see, that was a jump in time frames. Because it says, oh, wait a minute, that's question. That's still a question. Or that might be a part of an answer, but y'all can see. But we're going to continue. Question. Did anyone at Rock Nation ever ask you for approval of any of the rates that Mr. Garcia was asked to be paid? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they did. Just all I remember at the time is Emilio asked for more money, and I said, okay. So I don't really remember a lot of the in-depth conversation about it. Question. Do you know whether the more money that you approved ended up getting paid by Rock Nation? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague and ambiguous. Assumes facts. Mischaracterizes testimony. She's never said that Rock Nation paid him. Answer. Right. I paid Emilio, not Rock Nation. Question. But Rock Nation makes sure the invoices are correct, right? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form vague, ambiguous. Mischaracterizes the witness testimony. You can answer. Answer. Just because they make sure the invoice is correct doesn't mean they have the authority to pay it or refuse to pay it. Question. Fair enough. I'm not saying they do or they don't. I just want to know what happened. Answer. Oh, honestly, I don't. Today here, I'm really not sure what's going on. Like, I don't know the problem. I don't know what Emilio is asking for. To my knowledge, he's been paid everything that he's asked for. There's not an invoice that wasn't or hasn't been unpaid from the times he was working. I don't really know what was happening. Question. And that's fair enough. Some of my questions may allude to what his perspective was. For instance, that the higher rate that you told him he could be paid actually ended up memory that you don't have speaking with Miss Perez about Emilio. You don't have a specific memory of the topic that was brought up regarding Emilio. Is that correct? Answer, correct. Question. Okay. With regards to your memory of the text message you saw in Alex's phone on the topic of Emilio complaining, Mr. Garcia complaining, do you have a memory of those complaints having to do with him not getting paid correctly? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, no. I remember him complaining. Well, I remember him complaining that he just wasn't working with me and that I wasn't working with other people. Well, I was working with other people. Question, got it. With regards to Rock Nations, people at Rock Nation that you interacted with, I know you interacted with Jess. Is that correct? Answer, yes. Question. And you interacted with Sam Riddle, correct? Question. Well, that's answer. Yes. Question. And Miss Perez, correct? Answer. Yes. Question. And I believe I'll say his full name, Chris Mulville. That does not sound familiar to you? Miss Manillo, objection. Answer. No. Miss Manillo, that's not his name. Question. I'll get his correct name, but the last name, Mulville, is not familiar to you, correct? Answer. I don't know who that is. Question. All right. Oh, Sean, somebody named Sean. Answer. I don't know who that is. Question. Thank you. And you are familiar with Rockefeller Capital Management, the organization, correct? Answer. Rockefeller Management? Question. Capital Management or Rockefeller? Answer. My accountant? Question. Yes. Answer. Yes. Question. Did you interact with someone named whose last name was McMillan? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. Did you ever speak with anybody at Rockefeller about how much Mr. Garcia should or, and as y'all can see, that's a time gap. You can answer. Sorry. Answer. It was before that, but he was my friend. So I still kept him around for some things I wanted to do, but I just started adding more people to my team. Question. Okay. When you did learn about these text messages between Mr. Garcia and Alex, did you reach out to Mr. Garcia to tell him what you learned? Miss Manillo, objection, form. You can answer. Answer, I did. Question. And how did you do that? How did you reach out to him? Answer, I believe I called him straight from Alex's phone and I confronted him right then. Question, do you have a memory of it being over FaceTime? Answer, yes. Question, and did you speak with him in a manner that was, in a raised volume? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, I wasn't screaming to the top of my lungs, but I was very upset and hurt. Question, okay. And you use words to the effect to deliver the message to Mr. Garcia that you were hurt. Is that fair? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, yes. Question. And when you did reach out over FaceTime to express these feelings, what, if anything, do you remember Mr. Garcia saying? Answer, I remember he was shocked that he was busted for talking mess. And I feel like he was like a little apologetic for talking mess. He understood why I was mad. He made it clear that my points were valid. Question, did you bring up specific things that you learned? Like it says you want to quit. Do you remember talking to him about him wanting to quit? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, yes. And I said, how are you going to quit when I'm not even working right now? Like, how are you going to quit something you can't quit? Question, and what response do you remember him having to that? Answer, I feel like it was just a lot of stuttering. And I just really feel like he was just shocked that he knew I saw what he was saying about me. So he really didn't have a lot to say. Question, was Alex around when you had this FaceTime conversation with Mr. Garcia? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer, yes. Question, do you have a memory of Miss Alex participating at all during the call that you had with Mr. Garcia? Ms. Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous, the term participating. You can answer. Answer. I don't really remember if Alex chimed in or had anything to say, but I know we spoke after I hung up the phone with Emilio. Question. Okay, and what memory do you have of that conversation with Alex? Answer. She was also apologetic about the things I saw. Question. The things that you had seen Alex say, correct? Answer. She apologized for the things that she had to say. Yes. Question. Okay, did you stop having Alex around after that interaction? Answer. I did. Question. So around when you saw this exchange, you stopped working with Alex and Mr. Garcia. Is that correct? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay, with regards to okay, and as y'all can see, we do have some redactions, so I'm just going to skip through it. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Question. Okay. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. Are we talking about just like ever or every single time? Can we be a little bit more specific? Question. Ever for now? Answer. Ever? Yes. I would expect him to come and take pictures dealing on whatever the occasion was that I had to be there. Another redaction. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Another redaction. Question. Okay. Answer. I don't really remember. Question. Okay. And the ones you do remember, on the occasions you do remember where Emilio was there, that another redaction. Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. I don't have to remind a photographer to bring his camera to work. Question. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Did you consider Mr. Garcia, strike that. Did you consider yourself Mr. Garcia's boss for the time that you did have him around working? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, calls for a legal conclusion. You can answer. Answer. I don't consider myself his boss. I just hired him to take my pictures and my videos. Question. But you did consider you guys friends, correct? Answer. Yes. Question. And you did expect him to respond to your text messages when you were to ask for content, correct? Miss Manillo. Objection, form, vague, ambiguous, mistakes testimony. You can answer. Stallion Entertainment Inc. Answer. Yes. But I'm wondering if that's because I had to do this around the time of trying to trademark my own name and anything that has likeness to do with me. I don't want to say anything that I don't know. Question. Okay. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I know the answer to this. Do you know what the purpose of Megan Thee Stallion Entertainment Inc. is? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Ask and answer. Vague. Ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. Right now, I just don't know what you're talking about off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Question. Don't apologize. Don't apologize. We will move on. Did Mr. Garcia, Emilio Garcia, did he ever say words to the effect that he felt uncomfortable with something you ever did to him? Miss Manillo, objection, form, vague, ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. Not to my recollection. A lot of redactions that y'all can see. Honestly, that was my audience. Okay, we're going to skip on. Question. Anyone else other than Mr. Garcia that redaction? A, which is answer. Yeah. Anybody who wanted to come could come. Like the invitation was just open. You did my hair. You did my makeup. If you want to come to the event, you can. You don't have to, but I do get touch-ups. Another redaction. Question. Got it. Okay. Was that the same scenario or expectations of Mr. Garcia? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague and ambiguous. You can answer. And as y'all can see, that was redacted. We're going to move on. LLC. Did you see that? Answer. Yes. Question. And is Hot Girl Touring Inc. LLC? Well, Hot Girl Touring, I said link. LLC. I'm sorry, y'all. One of your corporations? Answer. Yes. Question. And is it What is your understanding of what that corporation does or what the purpose of it? Miss Manillo. Objection to form, vague and ambiguous. You can answer. Answer. As far as this account, it's all my money that I make from doing my shows and where I should, pay from. I guess my expenses for whatever had to do with performing. Miss Manillo. Just so the record is clear, Ron, it's not a corporation. It's an LLC. Mr. Zambrano. It's an LLC. It's a business organization. Thank you. It's the LLC. Question. And then below that, there's another entity that's labeled Megan Pete 172. Do you see that? Question. Oh, answer. Question. Is that a yes? You can say the answer. Y'all say there's a time lapse. Answer. No, I didn't. Question. Do you know who actually did fill these in? Miss Manillo. Objection. Calls for speculation. Form. You can answer. Answer. I don't know if Jason was personally doing it or if there was another person on the team that does it. I'm not sure how that works. Question. But again, you didn't have any issues. From your memory, you didn't talk to anybody about any of these things Emilio was asking to be paid. Correct? Answer. Correct. Question. We'll go over the last spreadsheet here I was able to get from your production, Ms. Pete. And it's got a Bates stamp of 8278. We're going to go. There's another series of things from Mr. Garcia or Emilio, but different invoice numbers. More I Heart Personal Brazil Services. Almost looks like a copy of the other one. Actually, it might be the same. Answer. Okay. Can I say something? Question. Absolutely. Answer. It's looking like we had to create another account because some of these things are for when I performed, which is coming out of Hot Girl Touring. And then just MTS Entertainment are things that don't have to do with performances, but it looks like appearances and other things I was doing outside of like touring and performing. Question. Got it. Answer. So maybe that's why that changed like that. Question. Got it. Okay. For the times that you were staying in Los Angeles, Miss Pete, were you renting a house? Answer. Yes. Question. Did you rent a house in long-term basis, like months at a time, or was it a little time period? Answer. Sometimes I would do months at a time. Question. And in what state would you consider yourself to be a resident for now? Answer. Florida. Question. And did you at one point you were a resident of Texas? Correct. Answer. Yes. Question. And then was the next state you were a resident of Florida, to your understanding? And as y'all can see, time lapse. Getting a little more proficient with this new setup. And then it says deposition exhibit number 6 marked for identification. Mr. Sembrano. This will be exhibit 6, Bates stamp 6322. I'll make it bigger. It's a 9-page document. It starts at Bates stamp 6322. Question. Is this between you and a JT? Did you see that? Answer. Yes. Question. Is this the JT? Well, let's go to the text messages. Take your time. But my question is this JT the photographer, I think? Answer. No, I don't know a photographer named JT. Question. There was a JT we spoke about. Who's JT? Answer. She's a rapper. Question. Rapper. Is this the JT that was the friend that you have a memory of Emilio providing photography services to or for? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And this was in April of 2022. There's a reference to Kellen. Do you know who Kellen or Kellen? Answer. Kellen is my hairstylist. Question. Is he currently your hairstylist? As y'all can see, time lapse. Is in April of 2022. There's a message from Sam Riddle. Sam Riddle is management from Rock Nation. Correct? Answer. Yes. Question. And he says here, there's a message at 2:17. At least it reflects 2:17 a.m. I believe this is in European time as reflected here. He says, additionally, they had an idea for you to be a social takeover on the DNGIG. Do you see that sentence in the middle? Answer, yes, yes. Question. Okay, and then in the second part of this message, it says, take over could mostly be done, by Coochie and myself. Would consist of, and then he insists these certain things. One of those being 5 to 7 IG stories on DNG page. Coochie and myself could handle. Do you see that? Answer, yes, I see that. I see it. Question. Okay. And is DNG a reference to Dolce & Gabbana, the clothing brand or the designer brand? Answer, yes. Question. Okay. And do you know whether it was Sam or yourself that had? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Do you know whether or not Mr. Garcia actually ended up doing this task that is referenced by Sam in this particular text? Miss Manillo, objection, form. You can answer. Answer. Can I have a second to read this? Question. Absolutely. You let me know. You let me know when you're done. Miss Manillo, you can read any document from top to bottom at any time. Take your time. Answer. Okay. And what's the question? Question. What was my question? Oh, do you have a memory of Mr. Garcia actually ended up doing the things that Sam was texting you here? Miss Manillo, objection, form. You can answer. Answer. Honestly, on this Coachella day was my first Coachella. I was really worried about myself and my performance. So I don't really remember a lot of behind the scenes, but they were supposed to handle it. So I'm just going to assume they did. Question. Okay. So is it fair to say that if it was done, you weren't the one that told Emilio to do what Sam is saying Sam is going to work with Emilio to do? Is that correct? Miss Manillo, objection, form, mistakes, testimony. You can answer. Answer. It's not me telling Emilio the deliverables of this thing that I'm supposed to do with Doche, right? Question. Sam was telling, right? Answer. Right. Question. Sam was telling it. Is that correct? Answer. I would assume that Sam told him what they needed to do with this. Question. And you would have expected Emilio to listen to Sam if Sam asked him to do this work on your behalf, correct? Mr. Sev. Objection. Miss Manillo. Objection. Same objection. Answer. I would expect Emilio to record me like he's supposed to do. Question. Right? Answer. Right. Not that he had to listen to Sam. You just were supposed to be recording me because it's your job. Question, right? But if Sam went to him and said, hey, this is stuff I told Meg and Pete about this particular IG story, you would expect Emilio to do that work for you, correct? Miss Manillo, objection. Mr. Sev, objection. Miss Manillo, form, answer. What I'm reading it as, Sam has to tell him what Doche is asking me to do. Not that he's telling Emilio, you need to do this because I said so. This is what the brand is asking us to do. Question, right? And you relied on Sam to relay what the brand wanted, correct? Mr. Seb, objection, form. Miss Manillo, objection, form. Answer. I guess in this instance, Sam was the one who knew what to do. So he got the information from Sam. He could have gotten it from Jess. He could have gotten it from Ferris. If I knew it, he could have gotten it from me, but I didn't know all this. Question. Let me go to the next one. Thank you. Deposition exhibit number 8, mark for identification. Question. All right. Shared screen. This will be exhibit 8. I'll make it bigger for you, Miss Pete, Mr. Sembrano. So this is a 2-page time lapse. Mr. Garcia was not requested to do work on any for you again after you made that decision. Miss Manillo, objection, form vague, assumes facts, lacks of foundation. You can answer. Answer. I don't believe I had to ask Des if Emilio. I don't really understand the question. Did I have to ask Des to not hire Emilio to work here? Question. It's more of a did you inform anybody? Well, strike that. Did you inform Des, by the way? Make sure that Miss Manillo, Miss Perez, question. Sorry, Miss Perez. Let me start again. Did you inform Miss Perez? Quote, by the way, I no longer want Mr. Garcia to be called to work on my projects. Unquote. Did you have that communication? Miss Manillo, objection to form. You can answer. Answer. I don't believe I said I no longer want Emilio. Whatever the rest of what you said was, I'm pretty sure I called Des and was like, I found out Emilio was talking about me and just told her what happened. I don't think I needed to explain why she doesn't hear about him anymore. Question. And how long was that conversation? Answer. I'm not sure. Question. Was it more than 15 minutes? Less than 15 minutes? Miss Manillo. Objection form. Asking answered. Answer. I couldn't tell you. Question. Well, it wasn't an hour, right? Miss Manillo. Objection form. Asked and answered. Answer. I don't know. Question. Do you think you spoke to Miss Perez for an hour about Emilio? Miss Manillo. Objection form asked and answered. Mischaracterizes the witness testimony. A, which is answer. I never said I talked to Des about Emilio for an hour. I don't know what else we could have talked about on the phone at the time, but I just know I told her what happened. Question. Okay, so my question is, I just want a range of how long that took for you to tell her what happened with Emilio. Was it 5 minutes? 30 minutes? An hour? Just an approximate range. Really done. Question. Okay. Answer. What could she do? Question. Well, answer. What could she do? And then question. I don't know. I just wanted to know if you remember anything. It sounds like you don't have a memory of her saying anything, right? Answer. She just told me that was awful and something along those lines. Just feeling sad that I was sad. But she wouldn't have said she was going to do something because she could. What could she do? Question. Do you have a memory of ever throwing anything at Mr. Garcia? Miss Manillo. Objection form. You can answer. Answer. I don't have a memory of throwing anything at him. And as y'all can see, that's some redaction. Miss Manillo. Objection form. You can answer. A lot of other redactions y'all can see. Question. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So Alex had asked, is she there too? And then he goes, yes. At first, it was only Aaliyah, however you want to say it, Aaliyah. Then they got me and added Beth too. Aaliyah is a photographer, correct? Answer, yes. Question. And then he says they got me and then they added Beth too. Do you have a memory of having 3 photographers? Well, photographers and videographers available for you to call upon at one point? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. The way you're wording it, I'm not really sure what you're trying to ask me, but it looks like he's telling her that he can see the schedule and he can see other people's names. Question. Okay. Do you know what schedule he's looking at? Answer. Probably of days that he was asked to shoot. And he probably confirmed that he could shoot those days. Question. Got it. And then, do you have any idea how Beth or Aaliyah, however you want to say it, got paid? Answer. I'm pretty sure they submitted invoices too, and I approve those as well. Go get a job somewhere else. Why are you acting like it's only me that you can take pictures of? You're saying you want to quit. You're already gone. You say I'm not giving you money because you're choosing not to do other jobs. Question. Okay. At least in this time frame, June of 2023, do you have a memory of that it was you who was choosing which photographer to work? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Vague. You can answer. Answer. I choose which photographer I wanted to work. Whoever was available, that's who I went with. Question. Okay. And if were you ever told there's multiple people available? You, Miss Pete, get to choose of those available which one you work with? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I don't remember if actually like it happened that specific way, but if I ask for somebody and they're available, that's who I want. If they're not available, let's ask the next person I actually work with. Question. Around this time, did you already have a preference amongst Emilio, Beth, or Aaliyah? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. For a long time, Emilio was somebody I wanted to work with because we built such a close relationship. Like I said earlier, once I wanted my look to improve, I wanted to get a better photographer. So once we found Beth and I really love the way she takes my pictures, I started asking what's Beth's availability. Beth is available. Okay. I'm using Beth. But I was still friends with Emilio. So I didn't want to completely not use him at all. So in one of those text messages, she asked, just could I do video only? I still just kept trying to figure out ways I could keep him around because we were friends. But I definitely stopped having Emilio as my preference. And at this time, Beth was my preference of photographer. Question. And Beth was someone you found because Rock Nation initially hired her, correct? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Mischaracterizes testimony. Answer. No. Rock Nation did not hire her. I asked for recommendations on photographers. I was sent a bunch of options of photographers. I picked Beth because I liked her work. And she started to come to take my pictures. And that was that. Question. Did you get, let me backtrack on this. With regards to Beth, who gave you the options of which one of those was Beth? Who gave you those? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Ask and answer. You can answer. Answer. I don't remember exactly which person sent me the list of people. I just don't know who that was. Question. Okay. Do you have a memory of it was a representative of Rock Nation? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. Ask and answer. Answer. Yes. I asked somebody who's probably like a part of my digital team at Rock. Can somebody send me some options of photographers? I want a new photographer. Question. And I'm sorry if I asked you this before, Miss Pete, but do you have a general memory month? Sure. Question. Elsewhere in the communication, you mean? Answer. Yes. Question. How did you feel when you saw these text messages? Answer. I felt really hurt. Like I told him earlier, me and Alex had built such a close relationship, even outside of her being my makeup artist. I was going through such a rough time at that time. I had been shot and I had taken a break, and some of my break I spent with Alex. Emilio knew how horrible I felt during that time. And it seemed like they really had empathy for what I was going through. You know, this is people I see and talk to often. Emilio, for a large chunk of my life, even when my mom was still alive, I thought he was somebody that was one of the closest people to me. And Alex, she would tell me about like things was going through like things she was going through personally. I'm sorry, y'all. And I feel like we bonded over whatever she was struggling with. Like, I feel as two women, we were definitely, helping each other. And I would help Alex in any way I could. I would give her whatever she needed outside of paying her to do my makeup. Seeing her being able to talk about me and what it felt like was at the time she was with me, and seeing Emilio talk about me, it felt like he was with me. You all are talking about me texting in my face. It really hurt my feelings because I thought we were better than that. I thought we were all a little family. I was wrong. and it really hurt my feelings and really upset me. Question. Do you need a minute, Miss Pete? Answer. No. Question. Okay. You let me know. All right. Answer. Yes. Question. When you saw the text message on Mr. Garcia's phone, where were you? Answer. I was in Milan at the time. Like I said, it was a lot of stuff going on. Just people talking so negatively about me during like the trial of the shooter and everything. And I just wanted to like get away. Question. Who else was with you in Milan? Answer. It was just me and Alex. And I think security. I think Michael was with me. Michael or Tom at the time. Question. How long were you in Milan, if you recall? Answer. I was there for a while. I don't really remember exactly how long I stayed. Question. Well, it would have been more than a week. Is that fair? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay, so this entire time you were in Milan, would it be fair to say that you were spending every day with Miss Garcia? Answer. Yes. Question. Going to dinner, breakfast, spending time together, going touring, whatever you did, you were with her. Is that fair? Answer. Yes. Question. So then you see these text messages and you confront her about them, right? Answer. Yes. Question. You confront Mr. Garcia about them, correct? Answer. Yes. Question. Is it fair to say you felt, in addition to being hurt, betrayed by both of them? Mrs. Sobrano. Leading. Answer. Definitely. Because in my opinion, everything was okay. Like when we're partying together and we're doing all of these dinners and you are all coming to my house and just watching movies and you're all seeing me crying and you all console me. And I'm seeing you all cry about whatever you all personally have going on and I'm consoling you. To see them being two different people that I don't know, I definitely felt betrayed. Question. All right. So you would spend time with Mr. Garcia outside of whatever work you were doing or having him photograph. You? Answer. Yes. Question. And you mentioned that Mr. Garcia knew your mother. Answer. Yes. Question. How did that come about? Answer. Because when I told him earlier that he was a fan and he reached out, my mom handled all of my businesses. My mom had an email like for business that she checked. So they had interactions first. I feel like that's how that went. But he definitely had to speak to my mama to come work over here. So my mom was like, all I had before we met Ferris and everything. And as y'all can see, that's a time lapse. Answer. No. Question. Did you ever tell Mr. Garcia that you didn't want him having any kind of relationship because you wanted to be dedicated solely to you? Well, him to be solely dedicated to you. Answer. Well, I don't want to say completely no, that I never said I don't want his boyfriends around. And if I did, it was probably because it was something that was so serious and this was just an event that we need to be focused on work. This is not a fun scenario. But as far as bringing your boyfriend out to dinner or the club, like I don't care about stuff like that. But the other question, she said, but the other questions is about question. I'll ask it again. Answer. Okay. Question. Did you ever tell Mr. Garcia that you didn't want him to be in a relationship with another individual because you wanted him to be dedicated solely to you? Answer. I don't remember telling him that. Question. Did you ever tell Mr. Garcia or anybody else on your team that you didn't want them to be in relationships with significant others because you wanted them to be dedicated solely to you? Answer. I don't remember telling anybody that. Question. Did you ever have any issue or animosity whatsoever toward anybody on your team who was bisexual, gay, or lesbian? Answer. Everybody on my team is bisexual or gay. I'm bisexual. Okay, child. We got some tea. We got some tea. We got some tea right here. Some tea. So Megan Thee Stallion, as y'all can see here, y'all looking, Megan Thee Stallion has said that she is bisexual.
Ooh, that was juicy.
Okay. Y'all see that? All right, let's continue. So no, I don't have a problem with anybody being gay or bisexual. Miss Manillo. Okay. I think those are all the questions I have. So thank you very much for your time, Ms. Pete. I don't know if my colleague Jordan has anything. Mr. Seth, no, I don't. Thank you. Mr. Sobrano, I have some follow-up touching upon what what was just brought up. And then it says further examination by Mr. Sobrano. Question. I do want to thank you for your time, Ms. Pete. Let me just get into it and then y'all can see there's a redaction. Question. He never told you that? And then y'all can see that's another break. Think I did that because they said it. They apologized when I confronted them about seeing the messages. So they knew they were wrong. Question. They apologized in person or over the phone? Answer. Well, Alexis apologized in person. Emilio was apologetic over FaceTime. Question. Got it. Okay, but that wasn't good enough for you, right? Miss Manillo. Objection. Argumentative. You can answer. I'm sorry, argumentative. Answer. It still hurt my feelings. Question. And then down here, Alex continues saying, she looked so fire though. Live for it. Did you see that? Answer. I see it. Question. Did you read that at the time that you got upset about it in June of 2023? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I could read. She said, I could have read this, but I don't remember it. Question. Okay, you made a reference to that around this time. There was a trial going on in a shooting. Do you remember referring to that? Answer. Yes. Question. Can you educate me on what you're referring to? Answer. I was shot in 2020 and I had to testify. Question. Okay. And did you testify in June of 2023? That's a bad question. Let me ask it another way. Did you testify about the 2020 incident in 2022 or 2023? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I don't remember, but we could look it up. Miss Manillo. We don't have to. Question. Well, we don't have to look it up. And the reason I bring it up is because you brought it up in the context of reading these text messages. So do you have a memory of testifying close in time to you reading these messages on Alex's phone? Miss Manillo. Objection. Form. You can answer. Answer. I don't remember the date that I testified. I remember being online and just seeing all the hate. I was being attacked online, cyberbullied. It was like a whole, and still, and as y'all can see, that is the end of the actual transcripts from the deposition. Y'all can see right here, it says page 279. However, this is all that was provided to us was 76 pages. Okay. So there you have it. Now, if y'all like what y'all see here today, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button. There's more to come. I appreciate y'all for getting me over 1,000 subscribers. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I can't do it without y'all. And I appreciate everything y'all have done so far. Now, this is what I always say. When you lead with integrity, you never ever have to worry about somebody questioning your loyalty or your intentions. And with that being said, I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace.